And welcome to another episode of My Idaho Friends. Yet again, I am your host, Jaime Lima, and thank you for joining us today. As always, huge shout out and many thanks to Argos Productions. Erica, Justin, sweet baby James out in the back, making sure we all look good and everything's working and everything is just on time. As always, if you're watching our show and we're already on our YouTube page, please subscribe, please like the content, and check out the links at the bottom. One of them will be the link for the Alliance of Idaho, a nonprofit that helps protect the human rights of those most marginalized here in the local area. So please check out their mission, their vision, and if you can, go ahead and support. Today, we have a most awesome sauce episode. We have a couple of fine
Mm-hmm.
gentlemen that are gonna really like bring up the panache of the show. I'm using very big words.
Mm-hmm.
And I am so very happy and honored to introduce my friend Scott Sword and John Sword. Gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Yes.
All right,
There
so
we go.
everybody's pumped up. Everybody's got their drink. We got a little bit of local whiskey. We got a little bit of water for you, John, because you're driving. I am not. I have water too. But but today's episode is pretty special, and I always say that, Idaho, so settle down. I know, but I really mean it this time. Last times were all just lies. It's really cool. John Sword, who I met through your nephew, my buddy here, Scott, who's a fellow Marine veteran. You guys have introduced me to Everlasting Tree, who you're with, John.
Right.
And before we start hitting what Everlasting Green is, what Everlasting Tree mission is all about, I want to get a little bit of background from the both of you. So usually we go 10 years back on time, and we go where we're at right now and where we're going to be in the future. Now, you're a very young fellow, but you're also no spring chicken. So we're probably going to go back a little bit farther than 10 years for you. But I would like for our good friend here, Scott, to start to see where he was at, then, and just give us an idea of where you're at right now.
Yeah, for sure. So, like you said, I am a Marine vet, joined after 9/11, served 4 years active, 1 year in the reserves. Did one combat tour in Iraq, spent most of my time in Okinawa with 3rd Recon Battalion. After I got out, I went to BSU, got my undergraduate, met my wife. Then I had a short career in HR for about 6 months and then transitioned to tech. And I've been a software engineer since then. So approximately like the last 10 years, I've been at various companies throughout the valley. And now I'm at Intuit, which was acquired by T-Sheets. And I have 2 kids that, keep me busy most of the time, as you know, with your 2. I think so for the next 10 years, I don't know, where it's going to take me. I think trying to really make sure I capitalize on these kind of golden years with my kids. Probably travel more because I've just, worked a lot, over the last decade. So really focus more on family and, my house, do all the house projects and stuff like that. Pretty boring.
You sure do. Well, it seems like boring to the untrained eye. I mean, you're taking a bunch of walls down yourself and trying to figure out the electrical.
Well, I learned most of it from John. I think this is my 4th house now that I'm doing some sort of remodel on. And I got that start when I got out of the Marine Corps. John helped me get my first house and then kind of helped build my confidence to start doing like bigger remodels. And if I ever got in trouble or like got in hot water with something, he's always kind of like my bat signal that would come over and bail me out.
That must be nice.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun, and it is a lot of fun.
There you go.
We'll continue to have fun with that.
I once made a birdhouse. So we're like the same. Pretty much.
Well, I get more upset with him when he doesn't call me as opposed to when he does.
Right. See, there you go. He just thinks he's got it figured out, but he still has so much more to learn.
Yeah, you can't leave now.
So thank you for that, Scott. And then thanks to you, and very recently, and I mean last week, you were kind enough to introduce me to John, your uncle, John Sword. So John, we're gonna do it a little bit different for you. We're not gonna do present time right away, and we're not gonna go into the future. We're gonna rewind this. I can go a little bit back in time. So back in your working days, because you're currently retired, sort of.
Right.
You know, you still have a passion project that you continuously work on, and that's what we're going to talk about. But before all of that happened, what were you doing?
The way I usually do this, I've been asked this in the past, I like to start with the fact that Scott and I are both native Idahoans.
Okay.
If you're familiar with the Shoshone Falls out of Twin, my great-grandfather, his great-great-grandfather homesteaded the north side of the falls in 1892.
Of course.
And if you're familiar with Table Rock, on our same side of the family, our mother's side of the family, on her aunts, my great aunts on her mother's side actually opened the quarry at Table Rock in 1884, and I have worked for that company. My brother did. They didn't have the quarry anymore, but as we were growing up, and our father ran the Union Pacific Depot at the end of Capitol Boulevard. He was one of the bosses up there, so we sort of grew up out in the gardens and stuff. So we're really sort of Idaho people.
Of course.
And anyway, so that's sort of where we came from, what we do, and I always liked the wood thing. I worked for two business people in town out of high school. I didn't go to college. And they owned like 7 different businesses in town, and I worked directly for those two, and it was just a great experience to learn, being able to see all these different businesses, and they treated me just like one of their sons, so you just learned a lot in doing that. And when I left there, I've been in business for myself ever since.
And when did you strike out on your own? When did you get the skill set to do all the wood things?
It was like in '88 or something like that. I can't. It's all blurry anymore. But I started buying homes for myself and fixing them up, and what a lot of people call flipping the houses. It was longer than that, but and I always enjoyed doing that. And I was able to work with an electrician and a plumber who had licenses back in the 70s and early 80s, and he said if I would teach him how to work with wood, he would teach me how to be an electrician and a plumber. And so we had about 10 years that we worked together on stuff. I don't know if I ever taught him how to work with wood, though. I feel bad. He's since passed away.
Oh, man.
We spent more time on him teaching me than me teaching him. So anyway, and since I've been in employed by myself in companies and different investments, and that's sort of what I did. And then this thing started, and I never had to serve in Vietnam. Where all my friends were having to go to the service, I had a good number. It was a lottery system, and I always felt I owed because of that. And so that's one of the reasons we started our Earn project. It was a good way to give back.
So let's jump on that a little bit, and this is the way in which Scott introduced us, is the current project, Everlasting Tree. So that's something that you took up exactly when you retired, or you were still working?
I was sort of semi-retired. I was still would buy a house myself and fix it up, but we didn't do those really quickly. They could be a year or two project, and so didn't want to make too much of a job out of it. So we were able to start Everlasting Tree at the same time, and it was the veteran side of that. My wife's aunt passed away, and they had an urn over in Oregon, and they wouldn't sell it because they couldn't replace it. I mean, it was a nice urn, but it wasn't made of gold or anything, And so we saw that was sort of interesting. So that's not that hard to do. So we made a few urns out of the shop just to see what they would do, and then from there, so we had a little bit of experience, and I was at a veteran's funeral here in the Idaho State Cemetery, Veteran Cemetery. And if you've ever been there, the bugle's going, the gun's going, and the flag's being folded, and all this is being done over a plastic box. And to me, it was sort of the elephant in the room, and we thought there maybe was a way we could make that a little bit better. And that's what's happened here now, is we've just worked on this to where we have a box, whatever that takes that plastic box, and they can put in it for the ceremonies. I knew I couldn't make a urn for every veteran, but maybe we could make them for the cemeteries.
Yeah.
And that's sort of how that sort of started from.
Okay. So you are Everlasting Tree then?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
my name's on it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And my wife's.
Alone
Heidi's.
and Unafraid. You guys as a couple. So
Yeah.
well, first of all, thank you for that. You know, as a veteran, I'm sure your nephew feels the same way. You know, we most certainly appreciate it. You know, for all of those.
I'm the
that have
one
come
that
before
owes,
us.
you know, for this because I didn't have to serve when everybody else was going. So
That's
it
it.
was,
And-
it's my privilege and to give back. You know, it's
Well,
just.
it's a sentiment that is most certainly appreciated. Scott and I are cheering to you.
There you
Cheers.
go. There you go.
Local whiskey made here in Idaho, Center Fire.
It is delicious.
Yeah,
Yes,
Center
there
Fire
is.
whiskey. Go check them out. Last season was like, what episode was it? Oh, Erica's not here to tell me what episode. She's my fact checker. She's unavailable today. Anyway, so yeah, thank you. You know, and I have some notes over here. You know, American Veterans ceremonial urn covers, and you guys bear with me, Idaho. You know that I have an accent. So this here says this ceremonial urn covers are designed and created by Idaho artist John Sword. John donates urn covers to veteran cemeteries and veterans organizations where they are used by the family and friends of American veterans during the ceremony or funeral service. 10 of the 14 cavities in the base of the urn contain sand or soil from battlefield locations where veterans served. Additional soils can be placed in any of the 4 empty cavities. You can see a list of the soils below, and we have Pearl Harbor, Omaha Beach, Peleliu Island, Iwo Jima, South Korea, Guadalcanal Solomon Islands, Henderson Field, Guadalcanal Solomon Islands Bloody Ridge, Quezon, Vietnam, and Bellawood, France. That's quite the touch.
You know, you know, and we're proud of those, but you know, and it's a changing dynamic there a little bit because we're always looking for more soils. And so when we find somebody's traveling somewhere, if we travel somewhere, you know, we're always trying to get more soil. So anybody out there that if you're traveling next to find yourself on a battlefield somewhere and you take the soils with permission, it's and a lot of and a lot of times what we will do is like in Pearl Harbor, the sand. Pearl Harbor is a big piece of concrete.
Right.
You know, and so we get sand as close. It's outside the base because there just wasn't any sand there to get on the thing. And when I was at Bella Woods, I was there in 2018 at the anniversary of World War I, the end of World War I. They gave us permission to get the wood we made some pins out of and the soils, but there still occasionally can find a remains there. And so right next to the road where they had cultivated the soil is where we picked up the soil there, because you always want to be respectful of the cemeteries.
That's awesome. Well, you brought up the next point that I was going to ask you about, and then like you mentioned, the pens that you guys make. And that's also how we met.
Yes.
I was fortunate enough that Scott, which by the way, thank you again.
Yeah, no worries.
Brought me along for you to teach me how to make this wooden pen. Did I practice one first? That was key. I appreciate that. And then this, the second was Bellawood commemorative pen.
Right.
It's hard to say. Tell us about that, please,
Okay,
John.
if Bellawood was a big battle for the Marines in World War I, and we got into World War I just at the end of the war. And I've read a little bit about it, but don't check me on history too much here. When the Marines got over to Paris, basically, and this is about 60 miles north of Paris, and they were entering the lines, the French wanted to break them up and put them in with other people, and the Marines says, no, we fight together.
Right.
And so as they went into the lines, the French were coming back through. They had been sort of defeated. And then the Germans hit the Marines, and they said all of a sudden they started noticing that all their soldiers were soldiers, the German soldiers, were getting shot right in the head, and they realized something had changed from the French who were walking the other way to the Marines they came about, and that's where the Battle of Bellawood took place.
There you go.
And anyway, we were over there, and we were fortunate enough to get a little bit of wood, and I thought, well, we could make some pens out of that. And we're going to wander a little bit to the relationship we have with the Medal of Honor Society now, but and I thought that'd be a great gift to the Medal of Honor recipients that are Marines. And so that's how we got those. And now you helped us with Peleliu. We got a little piece of wood from there, and that's also a big battle for the Marines. And we will also, the first 12 go to the Medal of Honor recipients that are still alive, that are Marines.
That's
Actually, you guys will probably get yours first, but you know.
You didn't say that. What is the Medal of Honor Society?
The Medal of Honor Society is an organization that they belong to that sort of represents them. There's actually the Medal of Honor Society, and then there's the Medal of Honor, I can't remember what they call the other, which is more of a organization business type that I think generates some funding for them. The Medal of Honor Society is just all the members that have received one are part of that society. And it's a closed society. They don't do a lot of advertisement or anything like that.
Right.
And we always tread lightly with what we say about them because they've let us in, and we don't want to ever violate any confidence that they have.
Absolutely.
But at this point, we've done 4 urns for Medal of Honor recipients.
That's wonderful.
And also getting to know them and getting to know their families is pretty special.
I mean, yeah, I mean, these urns are very special. These things are absolutely stunning and beautiful. You want to talk to us a little bit about these, please?
This one, the leaves on top of both of these urns, the leaf itself was collected at Arlington National Cemetery. And that would have been, actually we've went through several leaves, but that's probably 10 years ago now, time flies. And so the leaf was from Arlington National Cemetery, and we had it bronzed at Valley Bronze in Joseph, Oregon. And we went there because I had taken a tour of the foundry. They had, when we were going through, they were doing the work for the World War II Memorial in Washington, D.C. As I got to know the people, I also found out they did the frames for the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and the Declaration of Independence. So it's important to who makes those, not only where the leaf came from, but they do it. And we have a great working relationship with them. And so we think that gives the urns a little more significance, having the leaf on there as sort of the handle, the lid to pick up on it.
Yeah.
And this particular one here, the ribbon, which is the blue necklace, I call it, I guess, that goes around there, actually, I was given from the family of Art Jackson, a local Medal of Honor recipient, and that was his ribbon, and they were nice enough to give it to me. We use this for display and for me to fit it around to make sure it's the right size when I make one. And then instead of the medal on there, that is a challenge coin of Art's that we use for taking our pictures, and then we take this to display it. And the Medal of Honor Society also has pictures of this, and I'm on their website. It's their private website for that.
Yeah, I mean, this is just absolutely exquisite. I mean, and having it, I mean, it looks beautiful on the picture, but to see it here in person, again, it's...
And inside there's, I think there's 20 pins. You see a few of them outside there.
Right.
And the pins go with these when we send them over to the recipient. And the pins are made out of scraps of wood off this whatever particular urn we're making. So they have those to give out to gifts, whoever they want to.
Wow.
So like family members and
yeah, well, it's up to them. You know, I mean, that's what my thinking is.
Yeah.
But you know, you can control this only so much. You give it away, and then away it goes from there.
Wives, girlfriends,
never
vote at once, or maybe by then it doesn't matter.
You know, sometimes I don't want to know where they went.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. It's up to them.
Spouse, lovers, boyfriends, husbands, it doesn't matter.
When you come up with these ideas, you can only push them so far and control so much.
Yeah, yeah. After that, it's up to the family.
Yeah, yeah. But I tell you, the really gratifying part about this is getting to know the families. And have you seen, and I don't think I'm talking out of turn here, but we do watch what we say about the Medal of Honor Society. You've watched the movie Forrest Gump?
Yeah.
Okay. And so that was Sammy Davis, that when Tom Hanks is receiving the medal from Johnson, that's actually Sammy Davis, and they put Tom Hanks's head on him. And it's actually his ceremony. And
in the scene you're talking about, in the scene where he receives the medal.
Yeah, well, in the scene where he's receiving it, that's actually Sammy Davis, and Tom Hanks's head was put on for the movie. Sammy Davis and Dixie, his wife, were here 2 summers ago, and they were doing a meet and greet and here for about a week, and they were nice enough to come over to our house on Sunday. and hang around for a while. And that's pretty special.
That is super special.
Yeah, yeah, to have that kind of stuff. Woody, who was 96, we did one for him, and I still hear from these people at Christmas and that kind of stuff. And Woody is just great to talk to. I've never met him, but we talk probably twice a year, and that's just a great relationship to have with these people.
Outstanding.
Yeah, it's fun.
Now, what kind of wood are you using for these, and how long does it take you just to make one?
This is Paduke, the red one. Mm-hmm. It'll darken with age, and I started making those, and that is all we use for the Metal Honor Society. The other one, the far one from me, is made out of walnut, and we will use black walnut for the most part. Once in a while I'll have some California walnut come in, but most of it's always Eastern black walnut. And I don't share with the time it takes to make those.
Fair enough.
It is probably 10% of what people think it takes. I've just made so many of them now.
Okay.
That it is just, let's put it this way, I can have one of those done in a day on the thing and still have time to have coffee and eat breakfast and everything. So, but I've just made so many, and that's what I do. I mean, I do this for a living, so and I have the tooling to do it. And once you sort of figure this out and that out, the first one probably took me 3 days, and then we slowly got it down and found new tools and new ways to do it that they just go a lot faster. Okay.
What about the design? What does the design have any meaning? I mean, there's a lot of...
It's just the wave. I mean, we call it the wave, and just as a way to describe it. But in woodworking, you're always taught to make straight lines, good joints, and a defined curve. And I just got tired of it. I just didn't want to do it anymore. I think you had the opportunity to sit in one of our chairs.
Yes.
And those are just simply an expression of no straight lines, don't know what I'm going to do when I start them, and not sure what I did when I got done with them. And those chairs will lose probably anywhere from 40 to 60% of their weight by the time we're done with them. And so there's more on the floor a lot of times than what we started with. But it gives the artistic part of it. And that's what I want to do now, is have fun with that.
Yeah, I mean, they're just absolutely beautiful.
Well, what are the things?
You can't not tell. I mean, it is wood, but like the curves and the design and just the lines is just continuous. And it's just so nice to look at.
There's two different parts when you make that kind of stuff. One is sort of the protocol of how to make joints and do stuff, and how to do it right and timely. And then the other side is the artistic part of it. And so those two sort of come together there on the thing. And so you have to spend years understanding how to put the stuff together. And then you can use your artistic part of it, because it lets you do a lot more with a piece of wood once you've worked with it enough. Well,
personal question, Scott. And John, you're going to have to forgive me because this might be a little grim. I have to ask though, is your wife going to be watching this? She's not going to be watching this, let's be real. Okay.
She probably will.
No, she could care less about me. She's like, oh, hi, man. Rolls her eyes. I'm kidding. She's a first-class type lady. You are, Kirsten. She's awesome. She's really cool.
We are both lucky to have the wives we have.
Yes, you are.
It's so nice to marry women that are so much smarter than we are. It just makes life easier on the thing.
And patient.
She doesn't laugh at my memes, though. Yeah,
but she needs to pick up her game. Or maybe you need to get better at your meme game.
Yeah.
So, I have a very... I don't want to say that comfortable relationship with this subject matter, but we all go someday. We all go someday. Would it be weird? I shouldn't say would it be weird. That's not the question. The real question is, will you ever work with John and have one of these made for yourself while we still have John? Is that something that you ever be interested in?
I mean, I may do it just for fun, more than anything else. And the reason I say that is because, I don't know if I'm going to be cremated or not yet.
Right. Okay, that's fair.
And you bring that up. I mean, my wife Kristen is very adamant. She knows right away. I'm being cremated. It's a waste to bury a whole body. It takes up space. Blah blah blah. She's got kind of a laundry list of reasons for this.
She's not wrong, by the way.
Yeah, not at all. I wouldn't contest that.
Right.
And for me, it's more like, I don't know yet. You know, there's something about like the traditional kind of casket burial and everything that I still kind of like am intrigued by, I guess you could say. So I haven't made the decision yet, but I mean, at the very least, it would give me an excuse to hang out and shoot the shit with John and build something. And you know, worst case scenario, I come out of the other end with a cool box.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, and trust me, like I've been building boxes with John for a long fucking time. You know, so I have like I got boxes, you know, and all over my house of like stuff that I've built, right? And we use them for jewelry boxes. I use them to like, you know, house like PlayStation and Xbox controllers. You know,
the Scooby snacks.
Yeah. I mean, it's great to have. I mean, they're not. I mean, obviously these are like a notch above the ones that like John and I make, because ours don't kind of have like the wave in it, or you know, the special, obviously like the special sand or leaves or anything like that.
Right.
But yeah, I would leverage that more than anything, I guess, just for more time to just, you know, be in the shop.
Yeah.
It's fun to hang out.
And spend time with John.
What you need to come over and experience yourself.
John, it's going to be so much better once I'm there. I know I know Scott's family, but oh man, are you in for a treat when I come over?
No, it'll be fun.
I'm incredibly humble. I don't know if you noticed.
Well, you did a good job on the pens the other day.
Well, thank you. That's because you were there, making, you know, you're keeping me honest.
Yeah. Well,
I appreciate you taking all the pictures and all the video. That was fun. Actually, speaking of, I'll share that. We'll have some of that in this episode.
You got some pictures while you were there, didn't you?
Sweet baby James in the back can make it happen. As I'm talking right now, there's probably going to be some video of my goofy ass making the pens, and it's just going to be absolutely
did you hook him up with the video?
I'm going to now.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah, I still have it on my phone.
I thought I brought a list of the people who had done the pins along with you, and I don't have it here with me.
That's quite all right.
But I'll try to. Ken Rogers, who was a Marine at Quezon, he's done a very good film. They have a new film coming out. He's came over and done one. Mike Masterson, who has the Veterans News Network newspaper that comes out, if you're not familiar with it. So he came over and made one. And so it's just, we have one of the guides to the Warhawk Museum coming over tomorrow morning. He'll make one, and he was a forward air controller in Vietnam. So these are people that are military people that I've got to know, and we have them come over and like you, and they make a pen. And I think it makes it all that much more special, and that'll be on the card when we donate those to the Medal of Honor recipients who made all of these on the back of the card.
That's awesome.
They think it's pretty cool.
Well, it is. It is a really big deal. And of course, that's quite a list of names you got there.
Well, there's some neat people on it.
I was able to squeeze in.
It's nice to call them all friends.
That's wonderful.
That's the good part of it.
Well, thank you. And thank you, Scott, for answering such a personal question.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know,
no worries.
I think. But don't be wasteful. Just get cremated so you can be inside the box.
well, the trend now nationwide is between 60 and 70% of the people get cremated now. It's
really? I didn't know that.
It's so much more cost effective.
Uh-huh.
And I mean, like, what are you going to do? I mean, like, for me, like, all my organs are going to go to science, the rest of my body too, and, like, you know, donate it so some kid in some college can, like, learn how to be a doctor. I'm cool with that. Everything else can just get burned. And then the beauty about being cremated is, like, when my kids are having game night, I can be there with them. So I'm going to put it as part of my will and testament and trust that, you know, when I'm cremated, my sons get to take turn. And if it's game night, I got to be there.
So when they, like, get old enough to start drinking and they spill it.
I'm not going to know.
You got that all over you.
No.
Somebody picked that up off the floor.
Oh, man. I miss you, Scott. But no, I just thought it was kind of cool, you know? Just like, I've been thinking about that ever since I met you, John. And it's like, man, I always knew I was going to be cremated, but now I'm really going to get cremated.
Well, we can fix you up with that.
I would love nothing more than to make a box with you someday.
How Scotty would feel about making his own. How would you feel about making your own?
I will be ecstatic.
Yeah, we'll be happy to have you come over.
Yeah,
and do that.
thank you. I think you know, it's something, you know, but it's just natural, you know, not necessarily has to do anything with, like, being brave or having no fear. I certainly wouldn't want to leave untimely. I would want to maximize my time with my family and my friends and my loved ones. But I like to take away any of those decisions away from my immediate family when the time comes.
Do them now,
and they're, I mean, and as of right now, there's very specific instructions. Like for my stuff, like Madeline will not have to like, oh my gosh, like what's going to be more significant. She's just going to be able to mourn and move on and upgrade to a far better looking, more successful, younger husband at that time. So, and my kids are not going to have to worry about that because they'll know that what happens is exactly what I wanted. And I'm hoping that when the time comes for them, that's how they do it.
One of the things that's we learned early on there's no rules when it comes to urns. But we will provide an urn to a family, and they will use, a lot of times the ashes want to be spread somewhere, and so they use our urn just for the ceremony, and then they will spread the loved one's ashes wherever they want to do, and then they keep it, and the next family member that passes, they use the same urn again for the same ceremony, and it gets to be sort of a tradition of using that urn.
Yeah, that'd be really cool. Scott, were you there at my last birthday party, prior to COVID?
Maybe.
Or were you busy working, being a responsible human being? Yeah. So John, for my birthday, prior to COVID, I would just have a custom cake made in the shape of a penis, with little arms flexing, and a USMC tattoo on his chest. It's the most wonderful thing. My wife hates it.
Understandably.
Understandably. A lot of people show up and they're just like so very confused, and like.
I mean, I have seen the penis cakes before.
The penis cake, right? It's just pretty cool. It's just like a thing, Some people will get uncomfortable and they just forget. Like the military is just highly homoerotic. I'm like, get comfortable with it. But maybe I can do something like that with the urn. So it's just really, really.
Yeah.
But then
we'll keep my wife out of the shop.
Okay, but we'll pass it down to my children and my grandchildren. And, they don't have to keep my ashes. By then, you're right. But the El Chichi, my youngest, would have spilled it by then, and Napoleon would have eaten it. But
because you want it to be like, you don't want like Madeline to feel like she has to hide it, right? So like maybe what you could do is have a secret compartment, or like you lift the lid up and then there's the dick. Like you have a dick compartment.
Listen, life's too short for secret dick compartments. Okay. It's all in or nothing. And as a matter of fact, I'll even probably go and put it on the trust and change it. Like if my children want to participate on anything that we might be passing down, that needs to be changing from son to another every 6 months. On full display, attorney needs to be able
in the
to see
living
it.
room, on the shelf.
And then he just passes on to my grandchildren. You're welcome, family.
We could make that happen.
We will. It's going to be great. We'll invite Kenny and he'll make a film out of it. Check it out, Ken. Quick, short film, 15-minute documentary. Anyway, that's enough of that nonsense.
Sorry, John's like, well, no, I gotta be careful who I share this video with.
If we put this on our website, will you be insulted if we edit a little bit of it out?
It's gonna hurt a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. We're just like, just put like some custom work. You got the hidden menu. You can just say you share the password and then you can click on it.
Then you can get on it.
Okay. Daggone Marines, dude. I apologize, Chad.
No. I think it's great.
I think it's a great idea too.
It's how to sell it on the thing.
And you know what the wonderful thing is? My wife doesn't watch this at all, so she'll never know.
Well, yeah, and just also know, John, that any representatives from the Medal of Honor Society, especially Marines, will take joy in any dick jokes.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It's all part of the program.
It doesn't matter how old you are.
It's a generational thing. It's quite the proud lineage and heritage of...
When I get a hold of this, I'll send it to Woody so Woody can see it on the thing. Yeah, he'll enjoy it. He'll enjoy it.
Wonderful. This was not the direction that this episode was, but at the same time, I'm not surprised. Thank you, Scott. Thank you. Oh man!
Well, thank you guys for your service in the Marines.
Scott had nothing better else to do, and and I needed to do something too. So and here we are. But no, we appreciate the sentiment, and all jokes aside, that means a lot.
If you were going to tell a story about you and I and your Marines was when I sent you the syrup. I always enjoyed
Oh
that
yeah,
one.
it was actually. I mean, do you want me to tell a
I
quick
do
story?
want to tell you.
Ad hoc.
That's why you guys are here.
So, 2004, Operation Iraqi Freedom 2. I was in country as part of the SOC detachment for the 31st MU. And so this was around kind of the time where, you know, Phantom Fury was going on. Stuff was kind of really crazy in country. And we were everything kind of had passed over through the fall and gotten closer to Christmas time. And we were going to be in country over Christmas. And so my mom got a bunch of people together, and she called it like Operation Recon Santa. And they sent us just a tremendous amount of, you know, snacks, candy, homemade treats and goods. Like a football at the time that was like signed by all the players of BSU. Like everyone in my platoon got like BSU T-shirts and stuff like that. And then John's sole contribution to Operation Recon Santa was this like big jug of maple syrup. And so I found this. I'm like, what is this? You know, and it was like oddly like this. It had been sealed with wax, which I'm like, This has obviously been tampered with. And I opened it up, and it was just like, I think it was just straight up whiskey.
It was Crown Royal.
It was
Crown Royal.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, and I remember just because, you know, none of us had anything, and I'm surprised it made it through. To be frank, I mean, I don't know how they didn't like X-ray that shit or something. But
Oh, dude.
yeah, and so anyways, we went into the Connex boxes and just like hung out and cracked that thing open.
Yeah.
And I just remember like taking like maybe a little drink this size, right? And I was just out.
Yeah.
You know, I was in the pocket, you know, of nothing, right?
Yeah.
And I think I had a nice set of like Bose headphones on that deployment, and I think I broke them that night because I got drunk and stumbled and they fell off my head and snapped. But,
Oh,
yeah,
so sad.
I appreciated that gift.
These are the type
Little
of things
taste at
as an
home.
uncle you can be proud of.
That absolutely.
Yeah.
That is a fantastic story. I was able something similar like that happened. Oh man, where was I in 2004? Fallujah. Yeah, I was in Fallujah. Yeah, in 2004 I was in Fallujah, 3rd Battalion for Marine Regiment, and when I received it in a bottle of Listerine.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
But like the original Listerine, not the blue kind or whatever. But there was no wax seal on that. They just went ahead and just like, okay, Jesus takes the wheel. They just closed it. Yeah, so you crack it up and that's it. And he made it. He made it, and it was something else. I was terrified because I was a brand new Marine, so I was just like, oh my gosh. But it was like the greatest thing ever. I made that thing
I
last.
bet you made some friends too.
I did. It was, everybody gets to share. Everybody gets to share. So it was a very fortunate team. So whenever we were not in patrol, we got a tiny bit of R&R, which was just like a corner of concrete somewhere. Like, okay, this is it, just a little. Let's go to sleep.
A little Listerine.
Just a little. It's a little Listerine. It's no big deal. That's a great story. Well done, John.
Thank you.
Neato.
Thank you. Well, I'm trying to keep favorite uncle status.
Is there like a hard competition? Because it doesn't seem like
Or my dad.
Okay, there you go. Perhaps that's what it is. Oh, man. Oh, wow. So, Scotty, your time over at 3rd Recon, the whole time, Okinawa, and then you were able to get that deployment. And then after that, it was just your time to transition out? You were just ready to rock and roll?
More or less, yeah. I mean, it was towards the tail end of my enlistment. I went to the Philippines once more and
Oh, nice.
and did a parachute package there. And, you know, that's always, going to the Philippines is always fun. Hanging out with the Phil Mars and the Phil Seals are always cool. Yeah, I don't know if you've ever went to the Philippines.
I never did, yeah.
Yeah, they do some crazy stuff.
So I did go to Okinawa, and it's just the most glorious 3 months of my time. God, that's really difficult, but it's definitely top 2. A lot of people did not like Okinawa because of all the restrictions, and they didn't want Marines to get in trouble. And like just during the time that I was there, oh gosh, I know. Hopefully, I don't butcher this, but I think it was like November of 2003 until late January or mid-February. I can't recall, but I remember spending
Oh, yeah, I was there.
my first Christmas as a Marine and my first New Year's as a Marine there in Okinawa, Japan.
Where, like Hansen or Schwab?
Schwab. Yeah, right on the
Yeah,
water. Yeah, Schwab. Like, it was just absolutely stunning. It was so beautiful. And a lot of the guys, I was a little bit older, John. I joined in when I was 23. A lot of my peers joined, like, at 18. My buddy Schultz, he joined when he was 17.
You were 12 years in? Is that what you said?
Yeah, I started, my service was 12 years.
Yeah.
So 2003 till 2015. So, and it was a great experience, too. I was talking to a friend not long ago, because this doesn't happen very often. But a lot of the guys that I served with on my first 4 years and then some were guys that I actually we've been together since boot camp.
Oh, okay.
So I was very privileged in my career for having, when you're friends, you're friends. You know, you have your camaraderie and you have your brothers, but like some of these guys go way back when we were like civilians and going through the transformation of becoming a Marine, and to have that much time together through boot camp and then going to the same School of Infantry, and then from School of Infantry just going all to the exact same unit, and then going to that same exact unit and doing 2 and 3 deployments together to Iraq during that time. It was wild. We clicked like really well throughout all 4 years, and you know, for not all of us, but most of us still keep in touch. And then as I transitioned from 3-4 and I tried out and ended up in MARSOC. Some of those guys, not necessarily from boot camp, but there's some guys from the same unit over at 3-4 made it over there. So it still continued that camaraderie all the way through. So it's pretty neat, and it's very unique because with Marines, especially during a time of war, at least like the GWAT, you know, what we experience, it's just a lot of mix and match, and everybody comes from everywhere. And then like, oh, here's the FNGs. There's like a dozen of them, and they just get all spread out all over the place. But we were all together, like there was dozens of us. It's a pretty incredible experience. It's pretty neat. So I'm blessed.
Awesome.
Yeah. You jealous?
I have kind of a similar story where it's like I didn't go follow folks through boot camp, but like SOI to like deployments.
That's
and
pretty
like we went through like selection, like SOI selection, like pre BRC, BRC, and then third recon deployments.
But
like,
that's huge, especially within the recon community. I mean, that's a big deal, because you guys
totally.
once you're in, once you're in the reconnaissance community, John, you just don't leave.
Yeah.
At least not during that time. And if you were going to go anywhere, then you go to MARSOC.
Exactly.
And in the beginning of MARSOC, you just got pulled out of MARSOC. And
Can you tell people what MARSOC means?
Marine Special Operations Command.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I try not to say that.
Yeah,
Thank you,
well,
John.
okay.
You noticed. Way to go. Well played. Well played. Moving on.
It's my part in this thing. Yeah.
So, John, a lot of history, a lot of great, cool stories, but one of my favorite things when I go and I visit you at your beautiful home, we get done, we're rushing a little bit because I didn't have that much time, I apologize. But you're showing me your beautiful home, which clearly has a lot of woodwork.
Yeah.
You know, wonder why.
That's what we do.
Yeah, exactly. And all of a sudden, you so like nonchalantly, like, oh, here's this desk that used to be on the Capitol building. Oh, and here's this glass stained window that came from, I don't know, where
it came out of the Capitol building.
Yeah, Capitol building. Why do you have Capitol building furniture?
Well, I think as an artist, when you look at stuff, it has maybe a different value. I mean, I can see stuff in my mind, what to do with it and stuff. And so, and with the history, and I think a lot of that comes from where we're, native Idahoans and all this kind of stuff. You just sort of gravitate towards being able to collect it if you can, if the opportunity comes up. And so that's sort of where it came from. I mean,
there's that, but he's also like part of like this like good old boy like Boise group too,
Thank you.
right? I mean,
Thank you,
that's
Scott.
I translate like the native Idahoan to like. John would probably have lots of pals at Graney's back in the day that would be able to hook him up with all kinds of cool shit.
Well, back in the days of Graney's, I had a lifetime pass to the door. I mean, and then so they just don't give those away. You got to earn that stuff.
Right.
This is not what we should be talking about.
So anybody watching Graney's, is it? Gosh, has Graney's been around? Graney's been around that long?
Oh, it's yeah. And there's stories there we won't go into, but
Right, absolutely.
it's we shouldn't even be going down this path.
It's a bar, Idaho. It's a bar. If you're
yeah.
new to Idaho and you're watching this, or you're not from around here, it's a bar downtown.
I think it's still open.
It's very much
It is
open.
very
Yeah,
much
yeah.
operational.
It's still upstairs and downstairs, and it
Yeah.
just seemed it was when I turned 21, and it was around the time to like during the summer or the holidays, you always run into all your high school friends
Yeah,
there.
absolutely.
And I still think you do from like way back in the day. You like subtract 30 years and it's still like, oh, these are your high school friends. I was like, you're 60. What are you doing here? How do you think, oh, where am I? I'm just having a good time. I was like, all right, way to go, Grannies. Among other places. The Stagecoach also have quite the illustrious history. And
Oh, it does.
It's great.
Yeah, it
Stagecoach
does.
is
That's
great.
a- that's-
They're great.
Yeah, a
food,
lot of people
too.
don't realize Stagecoach.
Oh, no, yeah, Stagecoach. And yeah, a lot of local government policy was Dominus Dominus right there.
Oh, yeah.
Did I say that right? That's Latin.
Sure,
I'm just gonna go around with it. Yeah, so that's quite a. But yes, you're very well networked, John.
Well, it just comes from being here for 70 years
For
now.
70
But
years.
It was, and you just look for the stuff when it comes up. You know, put yourself in a position to be able to get a hold of it if you can, and sit on it for a while till you figure out what to do with it. But it's the windows, like in our sunroom, are from where Whole Foods is now, and there used to be a building for Forest Service and Fish and Game, I believe, and they tore those down. I was able to get the windows. And it just makes for a nice history, and it makes for a great room. You were in the room.
Yeah, it
on
was
the night.
absolutely beautiful. Everything in that house is stunning, and you can tell. I can tell that you had your hand on it.
You know, it's the other thing. It keeps you out of the bars.
I guess
Kind of
so.
thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you bring the
always
bar
nice.
home. Keep it stocked.
Yeah, we like to do that.
That's really cool. Oh, my children are very fortunate. You know, you are teaching Scott, woodwork, and I'm teaching my children how to put Legos together. So same thing.
Yeah, it is.
It's not the
It
same.
is actually the same thing.
It's absolutely not, John. But thank you. You're being very kind.
No, it is. That's how
Well,
kids learn.
I mean, I'm building a mini shop in my backyard, and you're just down the street, so you
Yeah.
got to come over more, and we'll just build stuff.
Oh, I have to come over more. Oh. I'll have you know, John. if Scott Soar starts going through messages and texts, you would think that he's being stalked. I was like, what's Jaime? What does he want?
What are
He
you doing
wants to
with
hang
it?
out and all this other stuff. And then he passes blame to his wife. I was like, oh man, like she's
Well,
like,
Heidi and I appreciate the fact you came by the house.
well,
And,
thank
know, you're
you,
welcome
thank you.
anytime.
And she was very nice. She scared the living bejesus out of me. I was like, she's right there.
Hiding behind her door.
Very
Yeah.
serious lady, and then she's got this big warm smile. I was like, ah!
Now she's going to be watching this.
Yeah.
Oh no! Yes, thank you. I would like to come back. You have a wonderful home. No, that's great. Well, you guys,
One more story, if you have the time for it.
we have all the time.
Was,
I was going to touch on something, but we have all the
was
time, John.
on one of the first urns we did, which really motivated me to do more with this program, was if you're familiar with the WASP from World War II, they flew the airplanes around the United States, and they weren't allowed into Arlington National Cemetery because they said they weren't officially part of the military program.
Right.
And Elaine Harmon wanted to be interned at Arlington, and they had been up to that point. Well, the family went to have their ceremony there, and they said they're no longer allowed in. And so the Harmon family went to Washington, D.C., and had a bill done. They lived in Washington, D.C., and they're pretty smart individuals, and they were able to get legislation through in 8 months that said the WASP have to be let back in there. And well, I saw this on TV, and I didn't know if I should intrude into somebody's family or not, but I was able to get a hold of Aaron Miller's number, the grandchild, and asked Aaron, would you guys like an urn? And they took us up on it, and we've developed a very good relationship with the family, and they were so supportive of us. And so when it came time for the ceremony, they invited us back there. And it was on nationwide TV on every channel. And where you have no children, and your urn's on TV, it's like the same thing. And so we got to go to this ceremony at Arlington National Cemetery, got to meet the staff at Arlington, the Army people and stuff, and we were very well received and encouraged to do what we do. And then we got to go back to the hotel room and go from channel to channel and see your urn on there. And that was one of our sort of special stories that really meant a lot to us.
That's fantastic.
And I was Terry Harmon, I just spoke to her today, actually, on the phone. So
Wow.
we still get to, and Erin Miller, the granddaughter, wrote a book and actually put my name in it. So, you have the name in a book, I guess, is always a good thing.
Yeah, here and there.
He's big time now.
Yeah, he's big time. I like it. Yeah.
But the whole thing about this has just been so much fun and gratifying. The people we get to meet and hang around with, it's fun.
Man. No, okay, we're gonna go down to a different rabbit hole now.
Okay.
It's very related. So question to you, John. With all this work that you're doing, Everlasting Tree and whatnot, you're very active. You're doing all these things. What's the legacy, and will it continue after you're gone?
The two things that will be my legacy, and I think you think about these more as a woodworker and an artist, are the fact that on our veterans urns, the walnut one there, we now have, I don't track it as close as I should, but we have between 65 and 70 urns in federal and state cemeteries. And we're in 14 states. There's an urn like that in the Punch Bowl in Hawaii. And in Alaska at the federal cemeteries there, in the state cemeteries. And the rocking chairs I build, I think they're of a high enough quality that people won't be throwing them out when they're done with them. They'll go down in families and stuff.
Right.
And most of those are being held for I call them the kids here, the nephews, and that kind of stuff. So we don't sell those anymore. They're just enough to probably take care of the family. So
nice.
That's sort of a legacy to leave behind on the thing that you can feel good about.
Yeah, no, that's wonderful. It's just, it gets to live on. And stays
and
in the family.
urns are really special for us that way, because it's just they've got ingrained. And there's the bottom piece of paper there, the email.
Yes.
If you want to read that,
I do. Thank you for positioning this.
That is our target customer in the federal cemetery system, and this is a gentleman who called me one day, had seen one of our urns. He had worked up through the cemetery system as a federal employee, and had been transferred to the new director of the Pikes Peak deal.
So, bear with me, guys, the accent. So, it reads, John, I have finally had an opportunity to photograph the ceremonial urn cover being used at a committal service. So far, this urn cover is used almost every day and sometimes multiple times per day. The reaction from the families when they present us a plastic urn, then see what we use this beautiful box to display it, is incredible. My staff and our customers have all requested that I thank you and your staff for donating this urn cover. So, from all of us at Pikes Peak National Cemetery, thank you very much for your generous donation.
That is our target customer right there. That's what we want to be able to do on the thing.
Well, that's something else. That's something else, John. Cheers to you. Cheers to you.
Thank you.
We're out of whiskey, Scott. I'm sorry.
Yeah, well,
that would have been the moment.
I was wondering, can I count as one of your staff?
You are the staff. You're it.
Well, again, thank you for answering such a personal question, and then for reminding me about this email. 'Cause, this is wonderful, and it's really cool to share. And when I was asking about legacy, I wasn't trying to put any pressure on you or Scott, but when we no longer have John Sword, then Everlasting Tree comes to an end.
Yeah, I would think so. I'm not looking at building up a company or anything. We had to have a name for it and do that kind of stuff. So that was the purpose of that. I think it's a LLC or something for whatever accounting reasons and that go on that kind of stuff. And we were happy with the name, and if the name goes away, that's okay. Scotty can have it if he wants it on that thing. But
I mean, you have a legacy, obviously, with the tangible things that you contributed to society, John. But, I mean, you can't ignore the fact of, the legacy in your family and the things that you've taught me. I mean, you've given me skills of, being able to be confident and build. And, I'm an engineer by trade. I write code. But, the things that you've taught me are not only applicable there, but, I take it and build things. I'm building a huge shop. I've done a bunch of remodels. I wouldn't have been able to do that without you. And I'm going to pass that on to my kids too.
You understand, but our relationship really is built more on the fact that we got close enough now when your dad says, you know, I called Scotty, he didn't call me back. I says, that's no problem, I'll call him, he calls me back. You know, you don't know what that is.
He's going to watch this.
You don't know what that is worth as my brother to go, you know, and do that. I mean, it's just,
excellent.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Uh-huh.
Well played, John.
One of the other things I'd like to mention here, you're talking about legacy and how this goes on.
Yeah.
The two businessmen I worked for, one of them was very active in the community, and he was instrumental in starting Funzie and in the Festival of Trees and the Bishop Kelly auction. And I got to watch that go on in the conference rooms and at work and all that kind of stuff. And how, when those people would meet, when they would start these things going, how they were all laughing and have fun with it. And you just learn that, you know, it can be fun to get back. It can be enjoyable, you know, and you can get people together and do it. When the monument people that had the Ellison brothers that had the quarry, I worked there for 2 summers. And he was the chief potentate one of the Shriners. And he was an excellent example of, there again, learning how to, anybody can give back. And yet if you just sort of keep that on your slate, you know, when the opportunity comes up, which we had this, you know, you saw a good fit for it, you know.
You hear that, Scott?
Is that too sappy?
No, it's not sappy, because this now, like, you know, you say that, and now I can look at Scott, and it's like, next project that I have at home, you need to get your ass over to my place.
You can always hit me up.
Yeah.
Freaking give back.
I mean, so like John was like my bat signal when things would go down, and like now I'm finding like I have friends that like hey dude, I got this door I got to put in, and I don't know what I'm doing. Can you come over here and help? And I'm like, yeah. Now I've put in like a bunch of doors where I used to call you for door help.
It's actually very impressive, because every time, the few times that, you know, that I'm allowed over at this sort of household, depending on him and his wife are discussing, are we going to let Jaime come in here? Is he bringing his children? Oh, his wife is coming? Okay. But like I show up.
We love your kids, by the way.
I love your kids. That's something else right there. That has marriage written all over it. It's just so high energy children, all 4 of them. But no, I will go to Scott's house, and sometimes, you know, unannounced, because otherwise I don't get to see him. And like I show up, and like now, like there used to be a wall there, now the whole wall is gone, and then like the floor is gone, and he's like looking to pour concrete, and he's just moving studs and putting wood all over the place, and I said, oh, I'm just figuring out this wiring. I'm like, no, man, like you're gonna take out like the block's power. Like, what do you think you're doing? But he's alone and unafraid. Just a one-man show, like doing all the things, and to me that's really impressive.
When he started doing that, I said, you know, you need to go for it, you know, but if you have a problem, there's not much that we can't fix. So don't be restrained on doing that. Go after it, and we can always fix it.
And I repeat that to a lot of my friends. Seriously, like there's nothing that you can do that we can't like get ourselves out of.
Yeah.
Fun fact too. The house that they were living, we were looking at the house to purchase.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, we almost got it, and I'm glad we didn't, because like the vision and like the work and everything they have done, that house just looks absolutely beautiful. It would be nice to get invited over every once in a while, so like our families go hang out as much as they want to hang out.
What I like about it is it's close to the depot, which is, you know, I spent so much time up there as a kid on the thing. We were growing up in their gardens, waiting for Dad to get off work to ride home with him. So it was
that's awesome.
Yeah, I feel a real connection to that, to the depot bench, because of like Grandpa and you and Dad.
Yeah, Scott's father, my brother, was a section foreman for the railroad too, so he kept his tools and all that kind of stuff, and had the keys to the building all the time. Which are stories we can't go into, but
of course, that's for a separate day.
But it was all in all that depot building. We've been in every corner of that on the thing, to the bell tower, to when the bells are going on.
We're gonna do just a John Soros series. So.
No, I'll shut up so you can get into it.
No, you don't know. I didn't mean it. I'm being like really serious. I'm just gonna end up having to hang out with you because Scott doesn't want to hang out, so it's okay.
Well, you're welcome anytime.
Thank you.
The only rule we have at the house is everybody leaves with their fingers.
Okay,
if it's too dangerous, I do it, and then you can go on.
I would appreciate that. Yeah,
Yeah.
It'll be a darn shame to come back after all those years doing the other line of work.
It's the wives and mothers that really get mad at me, I'm afraid, if that ever happens.
No, that's quite all right. That's quite all right. Nobody will lose their fingers, and and if we're drinking, the shop is closed, so no big deal.
Well, actually, there's that sweet point when you're drinking out there that it just seems like you do better work sometimes, but we shouldn't be putting that.
Some people refer to that as the Balmer curve.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, it's actually it's based off the former CEO and like head of engineering Steve Ballmer at Microsoft, and I forget it's a very steep bell curve where when you start you get maybe like a beer or two in to writing code, you just are in a super good flow state and very productive. And then right when you kind of cross that threshold of, let's call it beer 3, that's when things swiftly go downhill.
It's very, very steep. All right. Well, it's good to know.
We believe in that.
We'll keep it at PBRs.
Yeah.
It'll be okay.
There you go.
I don't know. And it's like, I don't think it's going to be a seltzer thing. We just keep it at PBRs. I have a question for you, John, before we start wrapping up, and then you'll get to repeat yourself all over again just for the sake of like making sure that everybody's got the information that they need. I was telling you about my friend Jenny Oliver. Hello, Jenny. Over in Spokane, she's a funeral director. She's kicking ass and taking names and just helping families and people during like some of the most challenging times in their lives. She's incredibly good at what she does, and that they are very, very lucky to have her. Why do I say all this? I introduced her, to your program. She's not at a federal cemetery, it's a private outfit or whatnot. Somebody like her has a veteran family and they would like to do something special like this. What do they do? Where does she go to? What does she need to do?
Well, what she can do is just call the cemetery in Spokane, and I believe his name is Rudy. Very nice guy.
Rudy?
And he'll ask if they have that available, and they will say they do. And that just makes it so much easier for the families. And that's the way we like to approach it. If you could take the lid off and just pull the strap up a little bit, that'll bring the urn up that shows people this is what so often comes from the mortuary. And that's why we designed these, is just so that box could have somewhere to be placed in dignity for the ceremony. And then they can easily pull it back out after the ceremony, and they'll place it in the wall, or sometimes they spread it in the gardens and stuff. And this gives veterans a way to have a dignified ceremony without spending a lot of money. However, we find that here they keep an actual log of how many people the people that have used each one of these. And it's getting a reputation that people want, and it's not a money issue. They want to follow the tradition of being using one of our urns.
Gotcha.
And that's gratifying to know that they're that well received.
Cool. Thank you. All right. Before we let you guys go, I'm sure your wife wants to see you. Mine doesn't, but that's okay. She'll still get. She gets no choice in the matter, anyways. All right, you got your own camera over here. Just tell the people back at home.
Anyone that sees this knows here we certainly have 3 of these urns in Boise. But if you're out of state or somewhere else and you have a state or federal cemetery in your area and you'd like to have one of these, just simply contact your cemetery and they can contact us and we will provide them an urn.
Everlasting Tree, you can always go to their website, www.everlastingtree.com. John Sword, Scotty Tuhati, Scott Sword, thank you so much for your time. It's been an absolute pleasure sharing stories and having this time with you, John and Scott. Thank you for
It's been a lot of fun. Thank you.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. Thank you for your authenticity and your willingness to share with all of us. And for you guys at home, thank you for watching. Again, please subscribe to the channel, like the content, feel free to send us some feedback. And Idaho, when you get a chance, get out there and be kind to somebody. Thank you very much for tuning in. We'll see you next time. Cheers.